Hello, welcome to 1000 Words, Stories on the Way. My name is Matthew Clark. Thanks so much for being here today. We've got just a few more to go in this series of podcast episodes where I'm introducing you to the essay writers who contributed to my latest book and album called Where the River Goes, Meditations on the Return of Jesus Christ in Story and Song. The album is out now. All three albums are out now, and all three books are out now. The albums are on all the streaming platforms, and the book is on Amazon. And you can even get the audiobook on some platforms, including Spotify. And I just figured out the snag of why it's not showing up on Amazon. And it's going to take me a little while to fix it, but hopefully that'll be out before too long, now that I've got that figured out. But for this project, each of these writers listened to the songs and they chose one that resonated with them from the album, and then they wrote an essay responding to that song. And I asked them to really enter into a conversation with the song that they chose, and also with the overall story behind the album, which in this third book of the Well trilogy is all about Jesus' defeat of death and the hope of the coming resurrection and the new creation. If you're curious about how this whole project came together and how it worked, I have had more in-depth conversations about it on a few other podcasts you can check out. And I made a playlist on my YouTube channel with all of these podcast episodes that I've been on, as well as speaking engagements at various conferences and retreats and things like that. You can go to youtube.com/MatthewClarkNet and look for that playlist. So this is week 9 of this series, and today's featured essayist for the Well trilogy is Douglas Kaine McKelvey. Doug is the author of the Every Moment Holy series, published by the Rabbit Room in Nashville. It's an amazing series of everyday liturgies, and he wrote a great essay for this book in response to the song Almost Time. I really, really appreciate the honesty and the beauty of Doug's chapter, and I think that you'll love it too. This song is made up of a series of images, mostly having to do with the persecution and the perseverance of God's people as they wait for Jesus to be revealed. So there are martyrs, and there are dancers dancing in defiance of evil. There are prayers whispered by the suffering in secret, and everything is looking worse and worse and worse all around them. But it's almost time for the birth pangs to give way to the joy of Jesus' second advent, his return. One fun fact about this song on the recording is that the clock chimes that you hear at the beginning of the song are actually from my late grandmother Mal's grandmother clock that I grew up hearing as a kid, so I built that into the recording. So this is the song that Doug chose, and I'm so grateful for the way he shares so deeply and honestly from his heart. It's a really wonderful essay, and I'm excited to share a sample of it with you today. But here's a little bit about Doug from his bio in the book. Douglas Kaine McKelvey grew up in East Texas and moved to Nashville in 1991 to participate in the early work of Charlie Peacock's Art House Foundation, an organization dedicated to a shared exploration of faith and the arts. In the decades since, Douglas has worked as an author, a song lyricist, a script writer, and a speaker. His books include 3 volumes of the best-selling series Every Moment Holy, New Liturgies for Daily Life, and a critically acclaimed middle-grade chapter book titled The Angel Knew Papa and the Dog. He's also served as a scriptwriter and a story editor for the first 3 seasons of the animated series The Wingfeather Saga, and has penned more than 350 lyrics recorded by a variety of artists. Douglas and his wife Lisa live near Nashville, Tennessee. So it gave me a lot of joy to have Doug write for this book. I'm so thankful that he said yes. I'll read a sample of his chapter entitled, "What is not costly is not hope." And I hope you'll grab your copy of Where the River Goes so you can enjoy reading the rest of Doug's wonderful essay. I find I'm dealing with perpetual discomfort these days. By hiding myself away in little vestibules, shutting out the wider world. Reality has grown too disquieting and surreal, so I wall myself off from the immediate, from the petty tyrannies of the necessary, from the nagging knowledge of neglected things, the circling fears, and most of all, from the constant accretion of unexpected griefs that gather like a steady whispering of volcanic ash, silently sifting over the landscape of life. I am at best prepared to handle lucidity only in phases, in snatches, in fits and starts. I crack the door and let the shadows spill in briefly, then brusquely sweep them out again and shove the door to. I am slowly trying to acclimate to this season of unexpected heaviness, weariness, and dismay, because there seems to be no easy way through, no clear end in sight. Some burdens, it seems, must be borne directly. You live long enough, and sooner or later you might find yourself waxing sympathetic toward the Kohathites, the clan whom God assigned, through Moses, to carry the holy things during Israel's wilderness wanderings. The other clans charged with transport of lesser temple items were also gifted wheeled carts and teams of oxen to ease the toil of their tasks. But Moses, we are told in the book of Numbers, did not give any to the Kohathites, because they were to carry on their shoulders the holy things for which they were responsible. And yet so laden one must still move forward. One must still steward the gifts entrusted. One must also steward those very burdens which are themselves a sacred trust, even as one is slowly and inevitably shaped by their weight. Life takes a sudden, dismaying turn, and you go into a sort of shock, but you still have to wake up the next morning, and then the next. You still have to rustle up some breakfast, walk the dog, pay the house note, go back to work. Over time, you learn what it means to live with this new, unnatural normal. You awkwardly fold yourself into some limping rhythm of life so that you can both journey through the grief and also tend the ceaseless, necessary details of life. So this is how I carve out space to write as I am now. I push the painful things into little boxes in my mind, only letting them out from time to time. Once every couple of hours, perhaps, like a Jack Russell Terrier that perpetually needs to burn off excess energy. This is how I make space to savor a meal or a conversation with old friends, to take a walk with my grandkids, to give a talk, to watch a movie with my wife. It is how I create a temporary parlor in which humor might still sometimes play. On some level, I always feel the things that are lurking just off screen. This new sadness is an unspoken substrata. I sigh deeply, frequently, involuntarily, each time I'm blindsided again by a more conscious awareness of present circumstance. But I instinctively recognize that for now, I cannot focus always and solely on the grief, and also remain present in the smaller moments and productively focused on the tasks at hand. I can't hold on to everything at once. The extremes are simply too distant, and my mortal arms too short. So, I focus on a necessary task for a while, and then either voluntarily or involuntarily, I return to my feelings, awareness flitting back and forth like the needle of a voltage meter as the current ebbs and flows. And perhaps, still less than a year into dealing with this, that sort of stuttering rhythm is an okay coping mechanism. But long term, I can also foresee how it might be a dicey strategy because there is an inherent danger that if such instinct becomes habit, the pattern of walling oneself off from pain might also begin to have the effect of deadening the heart to hope. What I mean to say is that we live in a broken world, in an age of sorrows. And if we hope for the redemption of what is lost and grieved, a redemption we have yet to witness. We ache, we yearn, we groan for what is gone and what is yet to be. So hope, in this age, is a kind of open wound. There is no way around that. For one cannot live in a given moment alive to hope and at the same time protected from the pain of the longing for the fulfillment of that hope. Hope, as it turns out, is not for sissies. If one is to walk in the full light of hope, shaped and led by such divine promise, one must progressively allow those emotionally protective walls to fall away. I say this to shame no one. It is a process that each of us will navigate imperfectly and on different timetables. But if one would ultimately seek to learn to love well, even when love is costly, then one must be willing to endure that cost that hope exacts. Did not Jesus himself refuse the wine that would have dulled his pain upon the cross? It seems that for our Lord, the pain of the crucifixion and the promise of the resurrection, the redemption and the glory to come, were intertwined. He bore our wounds that he might achieve our healing. He bore our sorrows that he might fulfill our hope. And the hope of redemption could not be fully realized apart from that experience of the pain and brokenness that would ultimately be redeemed by his sacrifice. Does it not seem likely that in some small way, we as his disciples might also sometimes taste that same bittersweet mix of deep hope and deep sorrow? That we might be called at times to carry those most holy burdens on our shoulders. And if we are, how could it not hurt? What I'm finding out is that these wounds of hope plunge precisely as deep as the immovable roots of the pending joy upon which I have staked all. For to hope is to feel one's own flesh in the tension of creation groaning for its liberation. That ache, that tension, will not finally resolve until the day when a final liberation is at last effected. And if that is true, then tell me who can bear to live moment to moment stretched across such a span, at once alive to those dizzying heights of eternal hope and also crushed beneath the landslide of rock and earth and mud and shadow that is sometimes our present experience. Love and faith, fear and dismay, so commingled, so entangled. This is the tension of the now and the not yet. To love is to hope, and our hope is, for now, and will remain until its fulfillment, an open wound. So here's the underlying problem I've begun to recognize with my instinctive and self-protective approach. If I close myself off to the pain and grief, I must also close myself off to the holy and hallowing work of these wounds of hope, shielding my heart from the great longing for all things to be made right, to be made new, willfully walling myself from the hope of that great reversal, when all that is lost will be found again, when my deepest yearnings will find their fulfillment, when all tears will be wiped away, all wounds healed, all mourning experienced by the children of God turned forever to celebration, when the groan of creation itself will be soothed and alchemized into a glorious choral symphony of unbroken praise. In this present age, yes, it still hurts to believe that. So, if instead of leaning into the wild winds of hope, I sometimes wrap my cloak more tightly around myself, pull up my hood, tilt my gaze to the ground, stoically focusing on the next step, and then the next, then I'm also muffling my ears to the swirling rumors, the whispers, the forward rippling echoes, intimations, and promises of a coming redemption. God forbid I should live my life that way. In a sense, I'm warring against embracing the very thing I most desire. I'm guarding myself in the moment against the possibility of being overwhelmed by beauty, by song, by sublime landscapes, by wonder, by waterfalls, by the hush of winter snows, by the experience of love which in this world will always include grief, by all such things as give visible witness to the glory to come. When our instinct is merely to protect ourselves from further hurt, we risk missing the best gifts of grace, because whatever deadens the pain also deadens the hope, and so muffles the joy. And are we not a people called, in imitation of our Lord, to conform to the shape of the cross? Is that not part of what it means to live as His people in this place? Our left palm pierced by sorrow, our right palm pinioned by joy, and in between, in the beating heart straining in our chest, rages the war of hope against despair, armies of light and shadow clashing in their ranks and waves. Okay, thank you, Doug, for being a part of this project with me. I really appreciate it. And here is the song that Doug chose to write for from the third book of the Well trilogy. It's track number 9, Almost Time.
Its ghosts, the bones are mending, I can see it happening. And a thief came in the night and tore through these bars of steel. War is on the sea, but mercy owns the fields. And where tucked away the words, paint the cage with martyr's blood, whisper boasting ancient oaks, and beauty whispers tenderly, but the words are choked, and the gates seem near to splintering, while the rhymes they all unwind. The holy seed is split, the house, it is almost time. And I can feel my heartbeat now, where the stone sunk down. Barely breathe my dying breath when the word called out. The Lamb who was slain is worthy of all praise. The Lamb who was slain is worthy, he's worthy. The Lamb who was slain is worthy of all praise. The Lamb who was slain is worthy, he's And I can feel my heart beat now, where the stone sunk down. Barely breathe my dying breath when the word called out.
All right, friends, if you haven't gotten your copy of the Well trilogy, don't you think it's almost time you did? And check your favorite audiobook supplier as well if you'd like to listen to them. They're not on Audible just yet, like I said, but I finally did figure out why they weren't showing up, and hopefully it won't take too long to fix. But if you do enjoy the books or the albums or this podcast, please do share them with somebody else. Leave a review and subscribe. All that helps word get out. Lastly, would you consider becoming a patron partner? Patronage is the main way that I'm able to continue doing this work of making things that make room for people to meet Jesus. And the things are things like this podcast, these books, these songs, concerts. These are things that make room for people to meet Jesus. So if that sounds like something you would like to support, I would love to have your help and your prayers. Just visit matthewclark.net/partner for more information and to become a monthly supporter. But that's all for today. Please tune in next week and we'll continue our series with a reading from chapter 10 of Where the River Goes, featuring an essay from Ned and Leslie Buster. Thanks so much, and I'll see you next time on 1000 Words, Stories on the Way.